In recent history, at least, Jackson County has not been the site of very many protest rallies. But yet, on Saturday in Jackson's Manpower Park, there have been 2 protest rallies about 2 very different causes. The Free Ohio Now organization conducted a local Free Ohio rally starting at 11 a.m. Saturday. Free Ohio Now describes itself as an all-volunteer group of Ohio citizens formed in April 2020 in response to the government's actions during the virus pandemic. The group feels state and local governments and health officials have gone too far in regard to orders, restrictions, and closures.
Free Ohio movement is all about making sure that all Ohioans have the statutory rights that we were given, and keep making sure the government stays out, big government stays out of our lives and allows us to work as individuals.
This weekend's Free Ohio rally was aimed at sending a public message opposing potential restrictions and regulations in Ohio schools next year due to the COVID-19 situation.
The state needs to realize as parents, we're smart enough to know when our kids are sick, we keep them home. And then when they get better, we send them back to school. We don't need to keep them home when they're well. What we found this last several months was no education really got done. The schools weren't prepared for any of this. The online services are very poor, and they don't represent an activity that the kids can actually learn through. I myself, I have 2 special needs kids. And so I have 3 children that they want me to try to homeschool myself. And the 2 special needs kids have problems in regular classrooms. So how do we think they're going to do in homeschooling? And this is around the board. You know, kids do better with structure. And one of the biggest things kids need too is socialization. I mean, that's part of the reasons we have the school set up the way we do, is for socialization, so the kids know how to act and interact with other kids. And that's one of the most important things they learn, especially early on, and hopefully they learn it in grade school and then on through high school. The cure can't be worse than the disease, and right now we're hurting our kids.
Later in the day, on Saturday, a second rally was held at Manpower Park, this one for Black Lives Matter. It comes on the heels of an initial rally that was held on Monday, June the 1st, in front of the Jackson County Courthouse with approximately 75 demonstrators participating. These 2 rallies and many, many others all across the nation are in direct response to the May 25th death of a black man, George Floyd, at the hands of a white police officer in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I've seen firsthand people, my family, they're like, well, slavery ended, segregation ended, like racism is basically gone, and they're so blind. They're so blind to the truth. They can look away. They can look the other way and not care because they're white. They have that privilege of not having to experience it.
We stand for unity. United we stand, divided we fall, but why are we letting each other fall? We are a melting pot.
Where you might not always be able to be directly racist towards a person of color because our population of people of color is so small, I said, but the ways that it shows up, for example, when you're at your family holiday and someone says something racist and it makes you uncomfortable, but then you don't call them out on it. The times when your family members display the Confederate flag proudly. The Confederate flag represents the Confederacy, and the Confederacy was fighting to maintain slavery, to maintain white supremacy.
I had a disagreement last night with a friend of mine who is an ex-law enforcement officer here in Jackson County, and he pro-flag, pro-monuments, and so I put it in perspective for him. He has an African-American grandson, and him and I are very, very close. And how I explained it to him was, if I were to be coming through and be pulled over, your grandson was, and we were beaten, we were maimed, we were killed for no other reason than the color of our skin, how would you feel? And his response was, it's never been broken down to me that way. I totally get it and understand it.
The first time I was ever called the N-word, I was in kindergarten. I didn't know what it meant until I went home and told my mom, so kids are screaming this at me, and they do it all the time. And then I had to have a sit down with my mom about what the N-word meant and how I needed to stand up for myself. Most of you will never have to sit your kid down and tell them if you see a cop when you're driving by, put both your hands on the steering wheel and don't make direct eye contact. Don't wear your hood up in the stores. Don't put your hands in your pockets. Because that's what I've heard since I was a kid. I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want my kids to live like this. I moved to Vinton County. Kids were pushing me down the stairs, telling me that they were in the KKK and they would take care of me. Get this nigger out of my school. Get this nigger off of my street. How can you let a nigger cheerleader cheer for us? This is Vinton County. I can't cheer because I'm black. I can't do anything because I'm black. I'm living, I'm breathing. I'm just like the rest of you. I want to go on to be successful. I want to do something with my life. I want to be a journalist. And it's 20 times as hard for me as it is for somebody that's white that's doing the same thing. Because when I speak up about things and want to report things, I look angry. But when somebody white does it, they're just stating the facts. And that is the injustices we face. So I hope that you can take my story and what I've gone through and spread it so people do become aware that it's not all lives matter. You just aren't educated on it because you've never experienced it. But there's plenty of people around you. You have plenty of resources. It's your own fault to choose ignorances because you have so many open opportunities to choose from to learn. Thank you.
This has been Pete Wilson reporting for Total Media and The Telegram, the Manpower Park in Jackson, where there have been 2 protest rallies today.